training ground oysters. I see. Stolen line-out ball by Batley, Batsman as they call him. Janse van Rensburg on to Bates, and maybe now we'll see Bristol in full flight. Ravovo's beaten 2.
Steps away, 10.
Eventually a giant Fijian calf seized and toppled. Harding. And now Oghre through the midfield, picks out Marmy and needs support. Look at the flurry of white jerseys. Given away the penalty. This place as loud as it has been all afternoon. Elizalde in one hand, basketball pass, the Janse van Rensburg, and now Mata straightening and stretching out giant legs. Well, they have sputtered and sputtered, but eventually Bristol Bear managing the usual conjuring act, even with one arm tied behind their back.
Fabulous finish and athleticism from Big Bill Mata.
This is how things start to get a little difficult for Chiefs. Bates can't quite control it, so free possession here. John back infield, now the chance for them to snap the chain reaction, to do something special, and there is something special. Skinner delays the pass, picks out Feu Waboso, has the beating of Grondona but not of Batley. Back they come, Yosefa Scott back into the pocket for Skinner, Hammersley over a granity shoulder, and now Vincent with one to beat, gets it onto Henry Slade, and it's tit for tat to Ashton Gates.
Anything clear will be checked.
Exeter Chiefs unpicking these fresh, unfamiliar Bristolian seams. Vincent rising with it on this occasion. Jordan.
I'm seeing a head contact. I'm seeing foul play. The tackler is upright and he could be lower. I'm seeing a high degree of danger, but I am also seeing that he's wrapping. So for me, I'm on a 20-minute red card. No, there's no clear tips for me.
Fascinating to see how they proceed here. Down to 14 and on the back heel because offset Chiefs. John now 2-on-1 on the outside. Brown Bampo, but drifting across well were Pepper and Ravovo in tandem.
Ball's this side.
Hammersley with the show and the go. One to beat, beats him, scores.
There's your numbers. There's normally a big bloke called Tom standing there, filling that gap, communicating.
Become a towering, omnipresent figure within that Bears pack, and here he is right at the heart of that. Everyone in. Janse van Rensburg joining the fray. Ravovo too, rumbling onwards. Gabriel Oghre has the ball and has it down. Right when they needed it most, Bristol Bears pop the usual champagne aside and just batter their way over the line with the ice bucket instead. All on the table, all up for grabs. Fist still out onto Jensel, was that?
By Blue, possibly more.
No sooner have they got back to a full complement, but Max Pepper is off.
Allowed to whack the Chiefs catcher, presuming he catches it until he hits the ground.
Good timing.
Timing's much better, but it does give Chiefs an extra millisecond to set this base and go.
There's the base. There's the advantage. Chiefs can fizz it about if they want to, because Bears have come offside. Skinner's been turtled.
Try.
But our referee is going to award the try.
We're just going to have a look if Exeter Chiefs players have left the line out in order to form an aggressive maul before the ball has been thrown. Do they leave? Yes, they do. You're not allowed to do that.
Here's the best picture here, Woody. You can see those players have left now.
A penny for that man's thoughts right there.
Too many receivers, a free kick against your team.
Big frame, wrestled back down. Skinner, Hammersley. Janse van Rensburg, all over the top of it. He is just an alchemist. So versatile.
Yeah, but he could do it, couldn't he?
Absolutely. Had a huge impact last week against Saracens. And there's the penalty, and suddenly this just about feels doable for Bristol.
Bristol can't allow Chiefs a chance to counter-attack off this.
He's only gone and kicked it. Young Sam Worsley with a beautifully struck nudge. And how on earth have Bristol managed that? There are roars on pitch, there are roars in the stands, but it's sighs of relief up here from the Bears coaching box as they snatch 4 precious points from the jaws of an injury crisis, from Tom Jordan's red card, from a decidedly inaccurate performance. But they've got local bragging rights and a win against all the odds. The derbies will keep coming. King's home next Friday before an afternoon at the Rec. But for now, fatigue, delight, as Chiefs suffer their first defeat of the campaign, and their wait for a win on the road stretches out to 12 straight Prem games. They will return down the M5 wondering how they managed, how they conspired to lose that one. Full time in BS3, Bristol 18, Exeter 14. Bernard, how on earth did you win that?
I can't tell you exactly. Credit to our forwards for defending 3 mauls and scrums and everything in that last 10 minutes when Exeter was on our 5 the whole time, and keeping them out from scoring. And yeah, I mean that's the game changer. So yeah, credit to our forwards for keeping them out.
Equally, a lot of rejigs needed in that back division. You at the heart of those, and not just one rejig, but consecutive ones. You had about 9 scrum halves on the pitch at one point. Take us into the conversations that were happening in the huddles. How did you go about figuring that out?
Yeah, obviously that's really unfortunate. You can't do anything about the injuries that happened in the first 2 games. Coach Pat always says all scrum halves at Bristol Bears are international wingers as well, so that's why we had 3 of them out there today. I think it's just obviously people playing out of positions again today. With Tommy going off and Batesy going off as well. We're swapping around the whole time. It's just every time we get a break, we try and connect to each other. As long as we try to be on the same page. And know what the guy next to you is going to do, we'll be a little bit more tighter as a unit. So that's what we're trying to do. And then in the breaks, try and keep it calm, try and connect to each other, just to stay as tight as possible.
How were the belief levels out there? Because it didn't feel from up in commentary and based on Pat's reaction, perhaps from his perspective too, as though you had that game won until your turnover in the 78th minute.
Oh yeah, it's one of those things. The last 10 minutes, every time we had a huddle, we said, boys, we're not going to give up. We're going to keep fighting, and every opportunity that I get in and around that, whether it's a tackle, whether it's trying to go for the ball, whether it's trying to do a counter-arc, I'm just trying to give it my all for the team, to give us the best opportunity to win the game.
Well, Bernhard, 4 points against all the odds, and you are our Gallagher Player of the Match. So many congratulations. Go rest up.
Thank you very much, Slade. Appreciate it.
Rob, why aren't we stood here talking about an Exeter victory today?
Well, I think it was the period after half-time that hurt us, because we kind of come out after half-time. I really wanted us to be the team that took hold of the game at that stage. Bristol Bears are still at 14, and I actually think it's that period that's lost us the game. I know we can talk about various things that happened in that corner where referees are losing comms with touch judging, all sorts of things were happening. But at the end of the day, we had a poor period where I'm not just saying we necessarily went passive, but we went first kick-off penalty. These are our growing up moments. Bristol had a full pack. They were quite happy to put the ball down the touchline with penalties, bring their forwards into the game, and they kind of did that until they scored. Then we kind of wake up, and then there's 20 minutes where we're chasing the game down, and we just didn't have the time to do it, and we erred a couple of times when we had the opportunities to do it. So I'm frustrated with that, but at the same time, it's so different to some games last season, particularly away from home, where we didn't get a point away from it, but also we were never really in the fight. And now I'm standing here feeling frustrated we haven't won the game. That's quite a positive feeling in a lot of ways, and that's what we've got to make sure we keep progressing with as a team. We've got to keep stepping forward. We weren't amazing last week when we beat Newcastle, and we're not awful now we've lost to Bristol.
So then stepping backwards and looking at both the positives and the negatives of your performance today, does taking a point back down the M5 feel like a fair return?
Well, probably not, because that's where frustrate ourselves. But I think you've got to remember, Bristol are here at home. They're not going to roll over and die. They put up a real fight today. They scrapped for absolutely everything, and it was the scrap and the fight in that corner that ultimately ended up with them getting out of there. And then they see the game off. I think you've got to give the opposition credit when they're dealing with multiple pressure. Just like we probably had credit for getting the lead in the first half, they deserve the credit for fighting back in second half. We've got things to work on. But we were never coming to this season as the complete article. We're 3 games in, we've taken points out of every game. We're doing okay, and we've got a lot of improvement to come. So there's a lot of positives in where we're heading. I'm frustrated today, but we've got to keep getting better.
Well, then humour me and let's talk about the line-outs in the corner. Were you attempting the same thing over and over again? Were messages coming on from the sideline? Why do you think it was a cookie-cutter process and again with nothing in return for it?
I think the problem is I think we felt we were getting something positive out of most scenarios, which we actually were. And I know we get caught on one where we get told we haven't used it on time. But the lads still felt they got over the line, so they're feeling it's getting close. There is one, I think there's one that only doesn't award a penalty to us because the touch loses comms with the referee. That changes the whole scenario there. I think it's the one where we get almost held up right on the line, it becomes a scrum. Those things would have changed things. We're a little unfortunate there, but I don't want us to become this team that just runs away from everything that becomes a challenge. We'll never become a great side if we suddenly decide we haven't converted them more than 5 minutes today, so we're not going to maul again. Or we have a problem with scrum, so we're not going to take on scrums. Or we haven't succeeded by passing the ball wide, let's not pass the ball wide. We've got to develop all parts of our game if we want to become a good side, and we're going to have to keep working at them, and some of them will come off and some of them won't.
Pat, we'll talk about the performance in just a moment, but 4 points out of all of that, how do you feel stood there now?
I'm so proud. I mean, that would probably be the highlight of my time here. I've been here a long time, and I think we're known for the type of rugby we can play, but where we're at in the last couple of weeks has been probably the biggest challenge in the amount of backs unavailable. Not just unavailable, experienced backs that know the way we play, and it's second nature to them. But to only have the one training run on Thursday with this group, lose Josh, lose Tom, lose Jack Bates, and put 3 9s on there, and then the way they gutsed it out. The one thing we always say is, yeah, we have skills and talent, but I want fights, and we want to show people how much this cares. And that was unbelievable. I was speechless. I was really enjoyed it.
You've carried a lighter squad for the last couple of seasons, which has meant more training reps for the youngsters. And then they have a moment like that, an opportunity like that, and they go and take it. I mean, Sam Worsley's kick at the end epitomises that. How much pride does that fill you with, and does that give you confidence in the system that you're running?
Yeah, I mean, that's it. That's all I want those guys to do is, as they learn and get comfortable. I mean, that was a great kick from Sam, but I thought he did really well. He's had so many injuries and over the last couple of years, and just been putting him in net one to try and build up his game time, and to see him come and do that, and his reaction after the game. These guys feel, they're so proud to play their part, and that's what we need. We've got to navigate this, not only this block, but probably the next couple of months without so many players, and find a way, and that's probably what I love today, the way the boys found the way to get through. We talked about what we probably needed to do at half-time with 14 men and all the changes, and the boys executed brilliantly.
Well, the derbies keep coming thick and fast. Gloucester away in 6 days' time. Given that load management is probably at the forefront of your mind right now, and there are some battered bodies out there, what do your next 6 days look like? Yeah,
I'd say we're not going to be doing, won't have that opportunity to do too much training. Obviously the forwards can get in and do their bits, and that's why I must take note of our forwards. I mean, Alice Genge, Fitzharding, Joe Butley, these boys stepped up and drove, said to the young backs, don't worry, we'll look after you, we'll get our bits and pieces done, and they did that really well. But no, certainly it's going to be light week. We just got to I'll go and check if I've got a backline for next week.
We'll go and celebrate it for now. Many congratulations, Pat, an extraordinary result.